Okay, and we're live. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is William Wilkinson. I am a district representative for the United Steelworkers in Wyoming. I cover every single steelworker in the state. Here in Cheyenne, I represent the workers at Edgewood, Serria Hills, and the oil refinery in town. I also represent another healthcare union in Fremont County. It's actually the first two healthcare unions in the state ever. So that's what I do. I negotiate contracts for the employees. I help them with any problems, and currently I'm assisting Edgewood in getting our first contract here in Cheyenne.
Okay, and how did it come about that they unionized at Serria Hills?
So they approached the AFL-CIO in December of last year, and their concerns were around safety. Edgewood had brought in hospice care at Edgewood at Serria Hills, and they were concerned about how that was working with the current residents. They wanted to increase the safety. They wanted to make it a higher standard of care. They didn't believe that the employer was listening to them, so they reached out to unionize. We formed a union there in February of 2024, and since the formation of that union, we've been trying to bargain our first contract.
So for assisted living facilities, do they normally take hospice?
It's been a trend that we've seen in healthcare. The healthcare is the largest, it's the fastest growing unionizing group in the country, and the reason for that is because of what healthcare companies are doing. And this is something that we are seeing at assisted living facilities, where they're bringing in hospice care because they're already caring for residents there. They have the nurses, they have the clerical staff to do it. The problem being, when they do that in a place like Serria Hills, the assisted living facility is really set up for people that can majorly take care of themselves. And we're there just to provide their healthcare needs and some assistance, where obviously hospice patients are patients, not residents, and they require a lot more care, a lot more detailed care, and that has raised safety concerns among the employees.
Okay, and so how long have you been negotiating with Edgewood?
So they formed the union in February. The company was unrespondent. They were very reluctant to meet. We met the first time in April, so 2 months after, and then the company's only really met one time a month, maybe two. They made the employees work in the daytime and then bargain in the evening. So we'd only meet for 2 hours or 1 hour. We even had a session that was only 15 minutes. So they basically non-existent. They don't want to meet with us. They don't want to work with us. They've been, we call violating the law, unfair labor practices, not providing information, not bargaining in good faith, retaliating against the employees for forming a union, trying to discipline them. So it's been very rocky for these 10 months that we have been bargaining.
Okay, and for these 10 months, have they just been stonewalling you or just putting you off? Have you been even able to sign a contract?
No, we haven't been able to sign a contract. We have agreed on some things, but a lot of it is what we call in this industry surface bargaining. So they're agreeing to have a union basically, but that's it. You know, they want in the contract that if Edgewood violates Wyoming Department of Health or OSHA guidelines, that they will have no recourse other than the grievance procedure. But by law, they're allowed to report these kind of things to the higher ups, to OSHA, to Wyoming Department of Health. Safety is their main concern, and we haven't even started talking about money in this negotiations yet. So we're right now specifically on language. We've gotten that they'll have a contract, but they don't want anything to change. They want everything to stay the same. They want to be able to let the employees violate the Wyoming Department of Health guidelines on a regular basis, and they want it in the contract, which is something that we are just not going to accept. We're trying to raise the standard of safety for the residents and the employees, not decrease it, and that's what the company wants.
So wait, what you're saying is they want to be able to break the law and not have you guys do anything about it?
They actually have a proposal that says the only recourse for us is the grievance procedure, that we would have no other form of recourse, and that's just not how it works. If you're violating an OSHA standard, we can report that. If you're violating the Wyoming Department of Health, we can report that. And what they're trying to do is put it in a box that we can't report it. We can report it to the company, but the only recourse we have would be the grievance procedure. We believe the proposal in itself is illegal.
Okay, now what has happened to get to this point? Because usually striking is like a last ditch thing.
Yeah, so we've been bargaining for, like I said, 10 months. It's only 40-some employees, so it's abnormal to bargain this long for this small of a group. Edgewood has made it clear that they don't want a union there, they don't want a contract, so they're doing everything in their power by violating the law, by not even trying to meet us in the middle to bargain in good faith to get them a contract. So we voted last month to authorize a strike. The International Union had authorized the employees there that if they so choose that they could go on strike. They did unanimously vote that they would go on strike. We informed the company that that was a possibility now, and we started working through that structure. The company returned by sending intimidating letters to the employees that they would lose their health care, that they could possibly lose out on other benefits if they were to participate in any type of work stoppage. But at the same time, they did start to meet more often, but they still made little to no movement, especially the sticking points around safety with the union and the residents. Now we've met again, they made very little movement. We have to provide legally a 10-day notice. I met with the employees yesterday, and they did vote unanimously again to participate in a temporary work stoppage, which is something that they absolutely do not want to do. They love these residents, they want to care for these residents, but they also know that something has to change. They have to do something to stand up for themselves and the residents. So they did vote. We're looking at a temporary work stoppage commencing on December 24th at 6 a.m. until January 2nd at 6 a.m. where we'll be doing some picketing on December 26th and December 31st to really let the community and the residents and their families know that we're not just fighting for us, we're fighting for them. I mean, this main sticking point of safety for us and following the law, it should be something that the residents and their families should wholeheartedly be supporting, because we're trying to increase their care and keep them safe. We haven't even begun talking about money. We haven't talked about raises. We haven't talked about retirement. We haven't talked about any of that stuff. They're out there fighting for the people that they serve at Serria Hills.
Now, is this just for Serria Hills, or is this going all through Edgewood?
Edgewood has 41 facilities, I believe, and Edgewood is the only one that's unionized. I believe personally that the reason Edgewood is fighting us so hard is because we know here in Cheyenne there's another Edgewood facility. It's called Aspen Wind, and I believe the company thinks once you get one union facility that's represented, that they're worried about another facility being represented. None of the other Edgewood facilities have union representation. This is the first one, and I believe this is why the company is fighting us so hard, is that they don't want anyone in there meddling with their business. You know, but safety is needed, and after dealing, you know, I as I said, I represent the refinery here in Cheyenne. I represent multiple mines in the Trona Patch over in Green River, Rock Springs. I represent aluminum can makers, bentonite mines, cement factories. I've worked with Bobcat, numerous high-name multinational corporations, and Edgewood is by far one of the worst companies that I've ever dealt with in my 10 years of bargaining contracts.
So this is only limited to Serria Hills.
Yes, it is.
None of their other facilities are going to be affected due to this strike.
No, it will only be Serria Hills.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. So, what is now, when the strike goes into place, or if the strike goes into place, I should say, this is looming, I guess we can call it, if that's fair.
Yep. Pending.
Pending.
Yeah, we would prefer that we didn't go on strike. The employees love the residents they care for and the patients of hospice, and they want to stay in there. But we need collective action for Edgewood to wake up and come to the table seriously.
Now, what's going to happen to the residents during this time?
So what they will do is, by law, we have to give the company a 10-day notice, which I gave them today, so it's an 11-day notice. what'll happen is they'll bring in travelers, they'll bring in contractors, they'll even ask the employees. So they'll bring people in to assure that that care is still being given. In healthcare, we have to provide a notice. So the company has days to figure out what they're going to do for coverage and how they're going to make sure the facility and the residents stay safe.
And if I'm correct, they're already using a service to kind of fill in.
Yep, they brought in contractors. When they formed the union in February, they started bringing in contractors in March, and they brought contractors in and out throughout that to fit ends, right? And I would assume that this is exactly what they'll do here. It's not uncommon. It's also why the employees have chose a temporary strike over a permanent strike. Normally when the steelworkers, when we go out on a strike, we stay out. But this is healthcare. They care about those residents. They really don't want to go out. That's why we're doing a temporary strike to show the community that we're fighting for these people. We're fighting for the employees, but we want to get back in there and take care of them as well.
So the residents will be taken care of through the 8-day strike.
Yeah, they will.
They'll get the same level of health care, and families and the public does not have to worry that they're just being left high and dry.
Yep, no, and that's why the notice is in advance, and we're giving even a greater notice than the legal requirement. But a majority of the people that I'm bargaining with, the VPs, the COOs, they're all RNs too. So if they did have some struggles, then those people still could come in and they could do coverage as well. So no, the residents will be safe. They will be taken care of during this time, and hopefully Edgewood, they have days. They have 11 days to come to the table and get serious about this. Hopefully they do that. I mean, we would love to avert a strike. We do not want to have a work stoppage, but at the end of the day, we're not going to back down on keeping these residents safe.
Now, and it's going to be all the employees of Edgewood, including management, or just the CNAs, RNs, and the kitchen staff?
Management is not represented. We call it the bargaining unit. It will only be the hourly employees, which would be the RNs, LPNs, CMAs, CNAs, dietary, and housekeeping. And those would be the only ones that would. And the housekeeping and dietary, they can fill them temporarily. As I said, they have another facility. They can ship people back and forth. And the RNs, CNAs, LPNs, which are certified with the state, they'll have to bring them in as contractors. But there's a big industry of travelers for that, so they will be able to get them covered.
Okay, now I know that there's multiple problems inside. We're not going to cover that today, what's going on actually inside the facility.
Yeah, we don't want to.
But for right now, you're trying to fight to improve that as well.
Yep. So the Wyoming State and the OSHA guidelines, those are what we call the floor. That's the minimum requirements that are needed, and we're trying to raise that up. With hospice coming in, it's made it more difficult to perform our duties and do it safely, and we want those concerns addressed through a contract.
But is back to the hospice thing, is that facility really set up to hold hospice patients?
I mean, it can be the way that they're doing it, but not really. You would want I believe it's a level 1. You would want a level 2 facility that's more dealt with permanent care. Like as stated earlier, a lot of these residents are self-sufficient, right? They just need some assistance. Where obviously with hospice patients, they need full assistance. To me, there's a difference between a Serria Hills resident and a hospice patient. It's two different things. I had a father on hospice. The care is not the same, right? Because you're talking about end-of-life care, which is going to get to where they're immobile. A lot of the residents at Serria Hills are mobile and can do a lot of this themselves. So they need more equipment. They either need to change the level facility, they need more equipment, or better contractors to come in to perform some of those cares.
Okay, awesome. I think that's about all the questions I really had. Hopefully, you guys will negotiate and you won't have to go on strike. So this is going to be kind of something new for the Cheyenne area, especially with a medical facility going on strike.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we don't. We meet next Tuesday. The notice is provided today to the company. Hopefully that they will come around, and we're reaching out to the community and the news now to let them know what's going on. We would like to avert a strike. We do not want to go out, but something needs to give. I mean, it's not like the union's talking about money that we're talking about going out because they're not going to give us enough money. We're talking about safety here. We talked about providing booties and masks on Tuesday, and it was a long conversation about how they do not want to provide some PPE that we think should be readily available to our staff. And we just find it very disheartening that we can't even come to an agreement on something as basic as masks and booties, right? I mean, it's safe for the residents, it's safe for our people. We don't understand why the company doesn't want to engage in that. They should want just the same thing that we're wanting, to increase the safety for the residents. They should want the same thing.
Awesome. Well, keep us updated on how this goes. You got my phone number and all.
Yep.
So definitely keep me advised of what's going on, and I'll get it out to my people as quick as I can.
You bet.
So thank you very much for coming in for the interview. I really do appreciate it. And guys, we will update you once
Thanks.
we get more updates.